Friends, good morning. I hope that you all are good and you are completing your work also. So, today we are going to start a new chapter, that is chapter number 8. And the name of the chapter is Cell Structure and Function. This is a very interesting chapter because when you know about your body, it is very interesting. As you have seen the basic structure of a cell, now about the cell we are going to get the maximum information in this chapter. The cell was the maximum information about this cell was given by a scientist, and the name of that scientist is Robert Hooke. Now we are going to study in this chapter that how the discovery of the cell is possible and how it is discovered. Now the topics that we are going to cover in this chapter are as follows. The first one is cell, the second one is discovery of cell, third one is cell shape and size, fourth one is cell number, fifth one is basic structure of cell, cell organelles, and difference between plant cell and animal cells. So these are the topics that we are going to cover in this chapter one by one. Now let's start with the basic thing. Now in this chapter that I'm going to give you an example. Let us compare a tree with a potted plant. You have seen the tree and you have seen the potted plant. The tree is larger in size while the potted plant is smaller in size. So there is a huge tree and a small plant, but both of these two are made up of millions or trillions of cells. So as they have many similarities also, the similarities are also found between these two, between the huge tree and between a potted plant, which are as follows. For example, the similarities they possess are both have the green leaves, both have the roots that help in the absorption of water and minerals. They both have the flowers that allow them to reproduce. They both have the stem with the leaves, flowers and fruits. So we just know that what is the function of the leaves. The leaves helps in the process of photosynthesis. So with their leaves they are able to do this photosynthesis process. When we observed a tree and a potted plant, both appear different from each other, but still they possess the similarities between them. And these similarities are mainly due to the same basic unit, and that basic unit is what? That is cell. So in this chapter we are going to study about the structure and the function of the cell. Now there is another example also that I am going to give you. That example is, let us compare a man and an animal. They both have appear different from each other. Man and animal, they both appear different from each other. Now let us know that what are the similarities they possess. Now we are going to know about that. What are the similarities they possess? The similarities that possess are they cannot do the photosynthesis. The man as well as the animal, they do not do this photosynthesis process. They give birth to the young ones. Both give birth to the young ones. They have 4 limbs. They have the proper organ system, for example respiratory system, digestive system, excretory system. With the help of these systems in their bodies, they are able to perform the different functions. So there's a question that arises here is that what is the reason between the similarities they possess? So what is the reason behind this, that they possess these similarities? The similarities that is found in both is mainly due to the same structural unit, and the same structural unit that is found in them is cell. So we can say that all the plants, animals, either the smaller plants or the larger plants, or the huge trees or the smaller animals or the larger animals or the human beings, all are made up of small units, and that small unit is known as cell. Either the plants, animals or human beings, their basic structure unit is what? the basic structural unit is cell. Means the plant, the animals and the human body is made up of a basic structural unit, and that structural unit is commonly known as cell. So their body is made up of small structural units, and that small structural unit is mainly called what? Cell. So we are going to study about the cell in this chapter. So one by one we are going to cover the topics that is found in this chapter. Now first, so this is the introduction about this chapter, that you have already learned that the things around us are either living or non-living things. So further you may recall that living organism carried out the certain basic functions. Can you list these functions? Different sets of organs perform the different functions you have listed. In this chapter, you shall learn about the basic structural unit of an organ, and which is called cell. The cells may be compared to the bricks. We can also compare the cells to the bricks. The bricks are assembled to make a building. Like that, these cells are assembled together to form a human body. The human body contains millions or trillions of cells. The plant bodies contains millions or trillions of cells. So their body is made up of a small structural unit, and that is known as cells. So we can also compare, just like in order to make a building we need a bricks. The bricks are needed to make a huge building, just like in order to make a human body or a plant body or animal body, the cells are required. So these cells are the basic structure unit of the living organisms. So they assemble to make the body of each and every living organism. Now we can say that what? Cell is the fundamental unit of life. It is a fundamental unit of life. Now discovery of cell. Now we are going to study about the discovery of the cell. Now just before that, we are going to know about these things also. So if you want to define that what is cell, then how you can define it like this. Cells are the basic building blocks of all the living things. These are the basic building blocks of all the living things, because all the living things are made up of cells. And we can also compare these cells with the bricks, because as we know that the bricks are required to make a building, just like our body is also made up of the millions or trillions of the cells. All the living bodies, either the plants or the animals or the human beings, their body is made up of cells. So it is a structural and functional unit of the organism, or indirectly we can say that it is also the functional unit of the organism, because indirectly for the function of their body cells, these body cells are responsible. So it is also called the functional unit of the living organism. So it is the structural and functional unit of the living organism. We can also compare these cells with the bricks, because a huge building is made up of bricks. Like that, human body, plant body and the animal body is made up of cells. So the bricks, so these are the bricks of our body. So we can say that the cells are the bricks of our body. Now we are going to know about the discovery of the cell. Now the discovery of the cell. There is an instrument. How this discovery of the cell is possible? So there is an instrument that makes it possible, the discovery of the cell, and that instrument name is what? That instrument is called microscope. So how we can define that what is microscope? Microscope is actually an instrument which is used to magnify the small things. Means that the things that we are not able to see with our naked eyes, that can be easily seen with the help of this magnifying instrument, and that is known as microscope. Now, who discovered the microscope? Now there is a scientist. The name of that scientist is Anton van Leeuwenhoek, and this scientist discovered the microscope. And microscope is an instrument that makes possible the discovery of the cell. So who discovered the cell? So the question arises that who discovered the cell? The cell was discovered by Robert Hooke, and he was the first person who observed the cell with the help of an ancient microscope. He observed that he observed the cell for the time in the he observed the cell for the first time in a thin slice of cork in 1665. So in which year the cell was discovered? The cell was discovered in the year of 1665. You know that what is cork? Do you know that what is cork? Cork is actually the bark of the tree, and he observed a thin slice of the cork with the help of microscope and see the small compartments like a structure, and these compartments later on called it what? It is called cell. So by this way the discovery of the cell is possible, and it was discovered by Robert Hooke in 1665, and he observed a thin slice of the cork with the help of the microscope, and observed that the small compartments like a structure, and later on these compartments are called cell. Now the discovery of the cell is possible by this way, and the Robert Hooke was a scientist who first time discovered the cell, and I have told you that how the discovery of the cell is possible. It is possible with the help of an magnifying instrument. That magnifying instrument is called microscope. Now this is the picture of a scientist, and the name of this scientist is Robert Hooke, and he was a scientist who first time observed the cork cell, and these cork cells was observed by the scientist, and the name of this scientist is Robert Hooke, and he observed a thin slice of these cork cell with the help of the microscope. And there is another picture, look at here, and he observed that the very small compartment like a structure, and he called this small compartment like a structure. These compartments later on it is called what? It is called cell. Now cell, about the cell, that we have known about the cell, that what is cell. Both the bricks in a building and a cell in the living organism are the basic structural units, and the buildings, though built of similar bricks, have the different design, shapes and size. Similarly, the living world, the organism, are differ from one another, but they all are made up of cells. Means all the living organisms that is found in this earth, they are different from each other. Plants are different from animals. There are different types of animals also. There are different types of plants also. There are different types of human beings also. So they are different from each other, but there is one similarity present in them, and that similarity is what? That their basic structural unit, and that basic structural unit is what? That is called cell. So cell in the living organism are complex living structural, unlike non-living things like bricks. So we can compare the cell with the non-living bricks. Just like the bricks are required to make a building, our body, plant body, animal body, these things are made up of this structural unit, and that structural unit is called cell. So the biggest single-celled organism is the egg of the ostrich. Now the question arises that which is the biggest cell? The biggest single-celled organism is the ostrich, is the egg of the ostrich. Now there are two pictures that is given here, a brick wall and an onion peel. This brick wall is consist of the many bricks. That bricks are compared to the cell, and this onion peel shows the cells that is found in its peel. So look at the diagram. Now the organism shows variety in cell number, shape and size. Now we are going to know about that. These the cells are of different shapes. They are different in number, and their size is also different. Some cells are smaller in size, some are larger in size. There are different shapes of the cells also, and they are also different in the number. Now the scientist, now their question that arises here, that how the scientist observed and study the living cells. So these, as I have told you, that the scientists are able to observe the cell with the help of a magnifying instrument, and that magnifying instrument is called microscope. Now they use the stains and dyes. They use the stain and dyes in order to color the part of the cell in order to study the detailed structure of the cell. So there are millions of living organisms, and they are of different shapes and size, and their organs also vary in shape and size and number of the cells. Now let us study about them one by one. Number of cells. Now there are some organism that is made up of, on the basis of the number of the cell, we classify the organism into two groups. The first group is of unicellular organism and the second group is of multicellular organism. Uni means single and cellular means cells. So what are these unicellular organisms? How can we define that? What are the unicellular organisms? These are the organisms body is made up of single cell. It means that their body is made up of single cells. They are able to perform all its body function with the help of single cells. It means that the digestion process, respiration process, excretion process, all these kinds of process that occurs in their bodies performed by the single cell. Now there is another category also, that the second category is of multicellular organism. Multi means many and cellular means cell. So these are the organisms body is made up of many cells. And there are some examples also. For example, human beings are multicellular organism. Plants are multicellular, so their body is made up of many cells, and in their bodies the cells are organized to form tissue, and these tissues are organized to form organ, and these organs are organized to form the organ system. So the multicellular organism have the organ system, they have the digestive system, they have the respiratory system, circulatory system. So these systems are present in the body of the multicellular organism in order to perform the different functions. But these kind of the respiratory, excretory system and these circulatory system, these kinds of system are not found in the body of the unicellular organism, because all these kinds of functions are performed by a single cell, because their body is made up of single cell. So these are the examples of the multicellular and the unicellular organism. Now here you will surprised to know that an organism with billions of cells begins the life as a single cell, which is fertilized egg, and that fertilized egg is what? Zygote. So the fertilized egg multiplies, the number of the cells increase, and the development process proceeds like this way in case of multicellular organism. So this is about the number of the cells. Now we are going to know more about the number of the cells. Can you guess the number of cells in a tall tree or in a huge animal like elephant? A billion is 1,000 million, and a trillion is 1,000 billion. The number runs into billions and trillions. Human body has trillions of cells which are vary in shapes and size. Different groups of cells perform the variety of functions, and these different groups of cells are specialized to perform different functions in the body. Number of cells. So as I have told you, on the basis of the number of the cells, the organism are divided into two categories. The first category is of unicellular organism, and the second category is of multicellular organism. So single celled organism like amoeba. So what happens in case of amoeba? The amoeba is a kind of unicellular organism, and it captures its food and digests its food. It respires also, it excretes also, it grows also, it reproduces also. By how? But there is no any kind of reproductive system, excretory system, digestive system, respiratory system. Not any kind of system is found in their body, but all these functions are performed in the body with the help of a single cell, because their body is made up of single cell. Similarly, the function in multicellular organism are carried out by the group of specialized cells, and these cells are grouped. There is a group of the specialized cells that is found in their body, and they are specially designed to do the they are these specialized cells forming the different tissues, and the tissues and then forms the organ. and that organs then that group together to form the organ system. So these systems are found in the body of the multicellular organism, but not any kind of the respiratory, circulatory, digestive system are found in the body of the unicellular organism. So this is the difference between the unicellular and the multicellular organism. So we categorize the organism into two groups, unicellular and multicellular, on the basis of the number of the cells. Now there is one picture. This is the picture of the some unicellular organism like amoeba and paramecium. These are the examples of the two organisms whose body is made up of single cell, and with this single cell they are able to do all its body activities. They are able to perform its all body function with the help of a single cell. Now